Name is Brian Holloway, Associate AD for Communications here at North Carolina A&T State University. For those of you who don't know me, I do know many of you. I want to welcome you to our noon press conference with our Director of Track and Field Programs, Dwayne Ross, and our two athletes who made the U.S. Olympic team last night, Randolph Ross Jr. and Trevor Stewart. We want to say congratulations to those young men. We're very proud of them here at North Carolina A&T. And so we want to give you an opportunity to talk to them and their outstanding coach, Dwayne Ross, who is the National Coach of the Year in men's track and field. The way we'll do this, if you do have a question, please signify you have a question through the hand emoji, or you can send me a note in the chat room, and I will try to get to your question as soon as possible. What we'll do to get it kicked off is Coach Ross will give us an opening statement. Then that will be followed by Randolph Ross Jr. with an opening statement, and then Trevor Stewart, and then the floor will be open for questions. Coach Ross, if you do not mind. Thank you, sir.
All right. Hey, thanks, Brian. And thank you, everyone, for attending. Of course, we had a very exciting weekend. And anytime you can put an athlete on the Olympic team, that is just history in the making. And I mean, it is very, very hard to make the Olympic team. Trust me, I know. So just excited for these guys. They did so well. Excited for North Carolina A&T and city of Greensboro as a whole.
Go ahead, Junior.
Well, like you said, having the ability to be able to make the team, and this has been a dream ever since we've been growing up. This is as far as it gets in the track and field world, and this having the honor of going and representing your country, but not even going alone, but having somebody that you've been running with ever since high school come with you is just unbelievable.
Trevor, I know you're out there somewhere.
Yep, right here. This is definitely a big moment, not just for me, but for our HBCU as well. So it's going to definitely project us farther into the eye view, and it's going to be something to watch.
All right, our first question comes from Eddie Wooten, Greensboro News and Record. Eddie?
Let me ask this for each of the guys. You were several lanes apart. Did you know where each other were, say, in the last 100 meters? And how did each of you start pushing, and particularly after a heavy running calendar this month? But when did the push start? How much did you know you had left in the tank? Did you know where each other were on the track?
Well, I knew that Trevor was on the very inside and I was almost on the very outside, but we both have different race strategies. But I know at the end of the race, we're both going to be at the line around the same time. So coming off the heavy week and the heavy month we've had of running and running faster than we normally run on normal meets, it was just about recovering and going and giving everything we got left at the Olympic trials. So on the last 100, it was just, all you were thinking is just top 3. And I knew that Trevor was going to be somewhere in the mix. So it was just, whatever we had left.
Well, honestly, I can say that as Junior just said, he was on the outside and I was farther. Well, I was on the inside. So it was more of a, I must see him literally at that last 100. And at that last 100, it was just mainly just get through it, maintain, and just stay focused all the way through until it was done. And I knew that we were going to be basically very close to each other. So yeah, that was everything I was thinking about.
Thank Thanks, guys. Our next question comes from Tyler Carr, HBCU Game Day. Tyler.
Thank you, Brian. I have a question for Coach Ross and for Ross Jr. How nervous, if at all, were you coming down that final stretch? I know at home watching, I was like, oh, I'm not for sure if he's going to make it. And then it was like the Jets turned on and he got in there at third place. I'm just sitting at home. It was nerve wracking for me. I'm curious about the reaction of Ross and Ross Jr.
Yeah, I stay nervous. It's funny. I don't get nervous when our student athletes run, because, we train, so well. But I always get nervous when my own personal children run. So yeah, I was a bundle of nerves before the race for him, and not necessarily wondering what he was going to do. I was confident that he would make the team. I was hoping that Trevor and Junior would, get up in there. But I was confident that he would make the team. It was just, that feeling of this being his first Olympic Games, just being in that moment. We always talking about being in the moment, but not being caught up in the moment. So I was nervous for him. But yeah, that last 100, when they came off that turn, I know my athletes, if they're anywhere close, they're going to try to pull you back in. So when they came off, that just wasn't enough space. It looked like it was a huge lead, but it wasn't enough for these guys. And I mean, even under fatigue. I mean, because remember, they just ran a week ago. So what they did was incredible. That last 100 was really just a gut race. So yeah, bundle of nerves, man, before the race and during the race. But like I said, that last 100, I kind of, got a little bit at ease, when they were coming off the turn.
Yes, like you were saying, knowing like the lane placements that we both had, it was it's something that we weren't quite used to. Lane A and lane 2 we haven't been there all year. So going in, the race pattern stays the same. I ran a little off, probably because I was tired from other meets, but there's something we'll work on when we get there. But going in, coming off the last turn, I could see 3 people in front of me. I just knew I had to catch at least one. So the last 70 meters was just determination and how much each of us wanted it.
Thanks, guys. Our next question comes from Lauren Walsh, WXII. Lauren.
Hi, good morning. This question is for Coach Ross. When we spoke a couple months ago, you told me what it would be like to see Junior run in the Olympics, but now that it's happening, can you paint us a word picture of kind of this full circle moment where Randolph watched you in the Olympics when he was a kid, and now you have the opportunity to do the same for him?
Yeah, it was very special. I had a moment where, I shed a few tears. I think after watching him do his victory lap, I remember those days and just seeing that all come full circle. I got a little teary-eyed watching him jog around the track and just seeing the happiness on his face, just so pleased for him. So yeah, it really, as coaches, you really, you're always happy for your athletes, you're always happy for your team, but that was just a big overflow of emotions, man. It was tough for me for a second. I had to keep my sunglasses on, and, so that my assistant coach, he was sitting next to me, didn't see the tears flowing, but hey, just so happy, for this guy.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Chris Lee, WRAL in Raleigh. Chris.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everybody here. I wanted to ask Ross Jr., it's you made the Olympics, but you did it also on Father's Day. And so the fact that you were able to do it with your dad on Father's Day, what are the emotions for you on that and being able to kind of follow in his footsteps? And then I also wanted to kind of follow up with Senior Ross to see if how he felt about that, if he thought about that it happened on Father's Day. And also what this means for A&T track going forward. knowing that you put some Olympians out there in Japan. Thank you, guys.
It was having the ability to to follow in his footsteps and make the team and do everything he's done throughout his career. I feel like having your son be able to do the same thing and really prosper in the same career that you grew up loving and working so hard to achieve is just something that a lot of people just can't give. So I was happy that I was able to not only make the team on Father's Day, but just make the team in general and continue the legacy we have with his family. And as how it affects HBCUs is hopefully it's great, just overall having not just one or two, but the whole 4x4 team that won indoor and outdoor 4x4, that whole team is going to be in Tokyo for the Olympics. So not just having individuals and races and one scattered throughout the mix, but as a unit and everybody going, it should affect the HBC community greatly.
Do you have anything on that, Coach Ross?
Yeah. Let me tell you, my son is, his nickname on the team is, between the coaches, is the Iceman, because, you can't get a rise out of the kid one way or the other. But yesterday morning, I got a text from him. It said, "Happy Father's Day, Dad. Now let's go make this let's go make this Tokyo trip." And I looked at my assistant coach. I was like, "Hey man, this kid is about to make this team, because he doesn't send me texts like that." And that was a touching moment. So yeah, for that to happen on Father's Day, I mean, I've been answering text messages all morning, all night. That was the best Father's Day gift. I mean, I'll never forget that. But yeah, as far as what it does for us, I mean, it's business as usual. Business as usual. We're recruiting. We have we're recruiting right now and whatnot. We're back at work. The goal is to win a national championship as a team and whatnot. And that remains the goal, even with these two here, Junior and Trevor. We understand the impact that this does, not just for us, but for our culture and for other schools, and not just HBCUs. For all schools. I've heard this all week from schools just in the smaller conferences, how it's just inspirational but we knew this at the beginning of the season, that what we were doing was more. It was more than just winning races, and this moment is no different. So yeah, so we're looking forward to going to Tokyo with fresh legs. When that happens, that's a totally different race. And these two athletes, they understand that, and so do we, and I think the rest of the world does too. So we're looking forward to that, and then after that, it's back to building this program and putting it where it belongs, and that's at the top.
Thank you both.
All right, I might need a little help with this one. Sayaka Matsuki, you have a question? Hope I said
Yes. Yeah, it's close enough. It's Matsuoka. I appreciate it. I'm with Triad City Beat here in Greensboro. I appreciate you taking my question. Of course, you guys have been training before and then during the pandemic, and I was wondering what were some of the biggest differences in the way that you trained and how that may or may not have affected your performance, and how you were both able to stay motivated as you were training leading up to these trials. Thanks.
We'll start with Trevor.
Well, what I mainly had to do was just stay focused and run my pattern and just know and literally remember who I am and just go out there and have a ball. Just remember who I am, just have fun and continue to put my feet down, keep my knees going forward, keep my hips forward, and stay level-headed.
May have to repeat the question.
Sure. Just how the training process looked differently in this last year, and how you were able to maybe stay motivated, and if anything that you changed during the pandemic might have helped you to get to where you are now going into the trials, or if it was mostly the same?
I do apologize. I would say that it actually got more intense because we had more on the line this time. We had to really double down, refocus on everything, and in different ways stay motivated. It's been a task, but at the end of the day, we also step on the line and execute every step of the way. And I believe that our workouts stayed the same in moderation on the outside looking in, but intensity definitely stepped up a lot.
Go ahead, Ross Jr.
Well, coming from the shutdown and having no outdoor season my freshman year, it was definitely different because the usual 2 months we have for a break, it turned into 3 or 4. So you had a lot of athletes coming in more out of shape than normal. And considering how long our season was going to be this year, we had to most definitely increase our strength in order to make it through the rounds and that amount of races we're going to have this year. So strength training was one of the key factors that we've worked on this year, along with what Trevor said as the intensity and the level that we had to work at in order to be able to compete with these times and these athletes in this program. So overall, things looked easy, like looking in, like Trevor said, but on the inside, we were going through it at practice, and we still are.
Thank you, guys. Jalen Kilkey, WFNY News 2.
What's up, fellas? Appreciate you guys taking some time out for us today. First, congratulations on my Aggie class of 17. So we're very proud of you. My question is for Junior and Trevor. I know that pretty much your whole life has been built up for last weekend and this moment that's upcoming in the summer in Tokyo. Trying to see, what does that feel like to finally reach that goal and have achieved step one of the process? And then how advantageous was it for you all that there was no Tokyo Olympics last year?
We'll start with Junior.
Well, coming in, the Tokyo is, well, the Olympics in general is just like the peak for track and field athletes, and having reached that goal, you're kind of looking at, okay, like, what's next? Like, you're looking forward to where you trying to make the next team and where you go from there. But I kind of just stay focused at what we're going to next, and wherever life takes me, it takes me. But having, sorry, what was the second part of that question?
Well, since, Tokyo was supposed to take place last year, did it play into your advantage this year, having another year to increase your skills and keep training?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Coming out of high school, I was a 46.8 runner. Never even broke 45. But the first indoor we had last year, I ran 45.4, and there was a lot of work I needed to change outdoor because the race strategy changes and it's a different environment running outdoor. So I felt like that extra year allowed me to add on the extra strength that I needed in order to run. And it allowed me to become more mature, because coming out of high school, it's a different, the competition is completely different. So it allowed me to get used to who I was running against and grow as a person in order to compete at these levels.
Trevor.
Well, I will say, coming off of the whole COVID thing that happened in 2020, I would say that it was definitely a stepping stone just to see how to really understand myself as an athlete and a person. So going through that and coming back for another year, I definitely feel like I made the right choice, because I feel like that if I didn't, there's no telling where I would be athletically. So it's definitely been like a huge wave pool, but I'm glad that after everything was said and done, that we also came together and got everything straightened out, and we're able to be the best we can possibly be and compliment each other pretty well, I believe.
Our next question comes from Joe Mazer, ABC.
Yeah, hey Junior, I'm wondering what it was like for you. If you can take me back to that moment when you're crossing the line there, and just tell me what was going through your head. What kind of reaction did you have there? And then the next part of this question would be, do you feel like you're the favorite in Tokyo?
Well, crossing the line and looking at the board, they put the first two people up there first. And then it was like a little delay going to the third spot. I knew the rest was close, but when seeing your name pop up as third and with the little Olympic rings beside it was amazing. It was like a moment I've never been in. And it's like something you can only dream of. It was completely different. But going into Tokyo, having the recovery that we need and the training, I feel like, yeah, there's going to be great competition there, of course, from Michael Cherry and Mike. Oh, they both names Michael. Both, yeah, Michael Norman and Michael Cherry. Having both of them beside me is going to be tough, and it's going to be a good race. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily the favorite, but it's nothing new. Our school is used to it. We've never really been favorites. So I'm just ready for the competition and the next level.
When you think about this last, 8 days or whatever, like, can you reflect on just winning a national championship and then accomplishing what you did last night?
Winning the national championship was great, especially doing it in the 400 and coming back and doing it in the 4x4. But as soon as that day was over, it was time to get back into recovery because we knew that all of our training led up to this very weekend right here. So yes, it was great having the ability to win individually and with the team. But when it's time to compete and get ready for it, the Olympics is completely different.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Glenn Hill, Washington Post.
Hey guys, I've got two questions. I'll give the first to Coach. Coach, you've talked about the national championship and that being the goal. Where does having Olympians, where does having people like Chris and Kayla who are contending at the trials, where do these individual showings maybe factor into what you're building at A&T?
Well, I think it solidifies us as a very, very good program, if not one of the best sprint hurdle programs in the country. So it definitely solidifies that. I mean, we've been cranking out sprinters and hurdlers here for some years now. So I think it solidifies us in that category there. However, we have to capitalize on that. It's nothing to have these athletes make the Olympic team, make the World Championship team, which Chris Belcher has done the last 2 World Championships. If we're not capitalizing on that and showing high schoolers that, hey, these guys were not at the top of the top 10 lists coming out of high school. These were recruits, Kayla White, Chris Belcher, Rodney Rowe, even Trevor. These were athletes that were overlooked, all right? And now this is a program where you can come and really be developed if this is something you want to do. So so we have to capitalize on it, but I think it definitely puts a shine on us as far as what we can do is when it comes to developing our student athletes.
And then the next question is for Trevor. Trevor, can you remind us when you arrived at A&T?
I first stepped foot on campus in 2016.
2016, okay. Can you share a little bit of your reflections on your career and then also what you've seen from the growth of this program over the years?
Well, my first year I had to sit out for complications, but after that, like, coach still kept me very close to the team and kept me really close. Like, I was still doing everything I needed to do in the classroom, and after that, I was on the team again. So I want to say, like, they always embraced me like I never left. Like, I was part of the team as soon as I stepped on campus, and they've taken care of me, helped me grow, helped me understand how everything works. And with Chris going pro and then Caleb going pro, it gave me more insight of how the outside world is in a way, because they set the standard for me a little bit higher because I want to be pro. And it got me here, along with great coaching and just people like Junior pushing me along the way and making me stronger.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the last question, also for you, Trevor. It seems like this program has really gone to another level over the years that you've been there. What does that look like? What does that feel like, just like on a day-to-day, or just like the conversations you're having? Just talk to me about what that actually looks like over the time.
Well, it definitely varies. And the reason I say that is because now when we go out to like practice or just, a general get together, which is very rare, we all have the same mindset. So we generally just sit down and try to talk about something else other than track, but it always tends to come up regardless. So it's great.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Next question comes from Herbert White out of Charlotte.
Good afternoon. I appreciate you taking the questions. This is for Coach Ross and for the athletes. Coach Ross, you've been on this global stage before. What will you impart to your athletes as you make the transition onto Tokyo, and vice versa for the athletes? What will you pick from his brain as far as getting prepared? And my second question, I'll ask that after you've responded.
Okay. Well, one, we'll stick to our normal game plan, which is, hey, be in the moment, but don't get caught up in the moment. It's still a race. The distance is still the same. It's still a starting block, still a starting pistol. That has to, you remain the same. But at the same time, it is the Olympic Games. There's television cameras, there's media, there's a lot of distractions, and these guys will be pulled that way. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about, hey, when it's time to cut that off. There's going to be a time to enjoy the trip, take it all in. Then there's going to be a time to lock back in and get ready for competition, because that's what we're there to do. So it's just about timing, but these guys are mature. They've shown that to be able to come here and handle, what happened here. I mean, they had lane changes. They were in one set of lanes one day, it changed, and then it changed again. But they were cool about it. It was just, hey, coach, they told me, coach, it doesn't matter. We're going to do what we got to do. So they're mature enough to be able to handle the pressure of what's about to come.
Herb, can you repeat the question for the athletes, please?
Yeah, and for the athletes, what will you take from the coach in terms of his experience to use to your advantage in Tokyo?
Well, me personally, I'm gonna take about everything because listening to him has got us this far. So obviously he knows what he's talking about. But going into that big stage and witnessing just the energy is going to be completely different. But seeing the television cameras, the crowd, I know it's going to be different from anything we've ever experienced. So yes, there's going to be distractions, and we have to get online and work through them the same way we've been doing everything else. So when it comes to training and locking in for competition, he's been in that position, so he knows what to do. So just listen to him.
Trevor?
I feel like Junior got everything right. Just lock in, listen to your coach, and just do what you got to do. That's how this past week has been. Just stay focused, run your race, and everything's going to come to you.
Okay, and my second question is about history. When a lot of times Black colleges and track and field get overlooked in terms of athletic success, from folks like Alice Coachman to Edwin Moses and coaches like Leroy Walker and George Williams over at St. Augustine's. For the three of you, do you all pay much attention to the history of Black college track and field and how you carry on that lineage?
Yeah, I'll start that answer off. Absolutely. And this is something that they hear day in, day out. And it's not just track and field history. It's, A&T history, it's our history. I talk to these student athletes about the legacies they're creating within their own families and whatnot. So they're a little young to know who Leroy Walker is. I know they probably heard the name, but I definitely know. And these are things that I instill in them day in, day out. As I've said time and time again this year, this year has been more about what we've been doing as a team for everyone else, not just ourselves, than about winning races. So yes, we understand the impact that it has on history, and that's been one of the motivating factors of what we've been doing this year.
And how about for the athletes?
Yeah, I am still young and I may not know all the history that came along with the school and HBCUs, but I feel like it is important to know because although A&T and me and Trevor and everybody else are building and adding on to the legacy, but it didn't start with us. So it's always to know where your roots come from and how it all started. So we may not know everything right now, but we do. And when we get free time, we are going to look into it.
I'll say that the history definitely does add a little bit more motivation to me because I know that there's more than just what I wanted to do. It has more of a story that has led up to what we can possibly do and what we can do to push our narrative forward, not just as athletes or Black males, but also as Black males that come from an HBCU that really understand how much work has to go into it, how much discrimination has happened and continues to happen to this day. So it's definitely a lot to take in, but we can also be the best we can possibly be and continue to push everything forward.
Thank you.
All right, I think we will get to everyone once we have Luke Williams. We'll go with him, Black College Sports Page, and then we'll go Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day. Luke. Mr. Williams, you got a question?
Yeah, Brian, thanks. I had my microphone muted. You saved the best for last, no problem. Congratulations to both Coach, the runners, to you, Brian, to Earl Hilton, who I saw is on the phone. It's a great accomplishment for the university. My question first is for Coach, which is, I know you had other athletes that competed, and I know based on your previous responses, you want nothing but every one of them to be on the team. But how would you grade the performances of everybody, Cambria, as well as Kayla, as well as Rodney and Chris, who've already competed?
Yeah, I'll give it. Yeah, I grade hard. That's because I don't want to diminish what these guys have done, but you are so correct. I mean, it was a roller coaster of a week. Seeing these guys, make it through the rounds, to Jerica make it to the finals and the hurdles, Chris not have the race he wanted, Kayla not having the race she wanted. So yeah, it was a roller coaster of a week, but if I had to give it a grade overall, I had to give it, maybe a B. I still believe, we underperformed. I would say it. I think we underperformed. Nothing's going to be perfect, but it's my job to keep pushing them to be perfect. Chris, he had a lapse in his race where he just didn't execute. Kayla missed some time from training right before this due to an injury. So I was pleased that she was able to get to the finals, but I knew the rounds were going to take a toll on her just because she hasn't been able to train really at that level. Rodney is more of a 200-meter guy. That's what he's looking forward to. Cambria, like the other collegians here, they just wiped out. It's tough coming off of an NCAA competition and having the Olympic trials the very next week. It's mentally, it's just tough, and that's not even talking about what it's doing to your body. So So overall, as I mentioned, great competition, great for these guys. What these guys did to be able to come a week off of NCAA's and make the team, I mean, that is just outstanding. I don't think people understand how tough that is. If you look back at the results here, I mean, there are not too many collegians that actually made the team. I mean, they were really, you could see them in the warm-up area, you could see them on the track. I mean, they were just gassed. But I think we did an excellent job, with the recovery with these guys. I mean, we were on it day one. I mean, but we planned for this coming in. We talked about this weeks and weeks in advance. I mean, we had a solid plan, what we want to do starting at our conference championships. Right after conference championships, it was time to get ready for regionals, then nationals, and then the trials. And this is how we were going to do it. This is how our preparation was going to go. Our recovery was going to go, and we followed it to a T. And I think it really benefited these guys. I mean, they weren't at full strength, but they had enough to fight it out and make the team.
And just a follow-up, you still have, I know you're going to be there the rest of the week. The question I want to ask you is about what your plans are for Tokyo. When do you leave and how do you train for that? But before that, I wanted to know just about with what the athletes you have left, they do get a couple of days off this week. Do you think that will help them? And what kind of mentality you think they'll have going into these last events?
Yeah, I think the next couple of days are really going to be the tell for the remaining athletes, right? I mean, it's not just how your body responds, but mentally. I mean, when that adrenaline comes down, I mean, it's almost like you're hitting a brick wall. So the next 2 days will be extremely important for them getting ready for these 200. I mean, if we thought this weekend was tough, right? Now, especially the 100-meter runners, now you're going into the 200 where you have 3 more rounds, right? Double the distance. So rest is going to be important. What we eat, what we don't eat. I mean, everything factors in. It's all about preparation. And we'll continue to work on that and see where they are, but they're in good spirits. I mean, it's not supposed to be easy. Making the Olympic team is not supposed to be easy. So we'll do what we do, and we'll see how the cards fall next weekend.
And Brian, before you cut me off, man, Coach, running 2 races in the same day as they had to do with the 100 in particular, that doesn't happen at the Olympics, does it?
Well, it depends on the event. The 100 meters, it will.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
100 meters, well, the 400 meters won't be like that, but the shorter races, yeah. So this was a good test run for that. So and these athletes can do that, right? Running 2 rounds in one day, about an hour and a half in between. These athletes can do that. That's not a problem. The problem comes in when you have the Olympic trials so close to the NCAA championships. I feel bad for a lot of these collegians, not just my own, because a lot of them deserve to be on this team. I mean, I think we're sending some very good athletes to the Olympic Games and the events that took place this weekend. But I think we're leaving some very good athletes behind because of the timing of this competition. But that's my 2 cents. I don't make the schedules.
Thanks, Coach.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, this is Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day. First questions for Coach. Just talk really quickly about not only Ross and Stewart going from your 4x4, but also Sirleaf and Stokes as well. Just talking about having your entire 4x4 relay in the Olympics, what that is like for you as a coach. That's my first question, and I'll ask my follow-up.
Okay. Tokyo is going to be just like home. It's just practice is going to be just like it is at home. So I'm looking forward to those guys, having those guys there. I'm on the phone this morning talking, through workouts with them. So they're getting prepared now and whatnot. So excited for them, excited for their families and everyone around them, and I expect big things out of them. Now, unfortunately, right, they won't be running on the same relay, and I've told them that, hey, beating this U.S. team, that's going to be a hard feat. That relay is going to be tough. But I'm gonna tell you, those two guys, for their corresponding countries, man, they're going to compete well.
All right. And then for my second question, I'm gonna color outside the lines a little bit. AD Hilton, I see you in here. Just talk to us really quickly. 2012, when you brought Coach Ross in, A&T wasn't necessarily a track school, didn't have that type of lineage. But just talk about, bringing him into this program, and then to right now where you have, again, an entire 4x4 team is in the Olympics, and a couple more could still be coming as well. Just talk about the progression in this last decade of North Carolina A&T track.
You're way outside the lines there, Gaither.
Truly, man, I was a straight.
I think you wanted to be noticed.
I was a straight spectator today, Stephen. I would be lying to you if I said to you that when Coach Ross and I sat down in 2012, I saw this happening in 2021. But I do know that we had the same vision. We wanted to be the best. And when Coach talks about being the best, he never qualifies that. He doesn't say the best mid-major, the best HBCU, the best school in North Carolina. He talks about being the best. And that resonates with me. I get that. I feel that. I understand that. There are two types of people in the world. There are people who love to win and people who hate to lose. And I'm in the hate to lose category. I love winning, but I hate losing more than I love winning. And people who hate losing do things, and Coach Ross is a hate losing kind of guy. They do things, they're willing to pay prices, they're willing to put the work in. Obviously, Trevor and Junior are guys that hate losing, and they pay the price that's necessary to avoid that fate. And so from my perspective, I'm just happy to be here and to be part of their world, to watch the magic that Coach Ross has created in our track program, for the men and the women, and to see the success that we've had, start with Chris and Kayla, and now we're going to see more of that moving forward with our young men and young women. Again, just could not be more proud, could not be happier to be part of this experience, and to be part of the success. By that, I mean watching the success that they're having in our track program.
Appreciate it, Brian. You made me wait to the end.
Hey, man, listen, he's on vacation, so, that's the last one we're going to have. So, Stephen Gaither, congratulations. You got that one in, brother. Respect. Let me go Eddie Hughes. I don't think I've called on him yet. Spectrum TV.
Thanks, Brian. Real quick, Coach, you talked about with the text that Junior sent you yesterday morning. Junior, I was wondering, did you plan on getting your dad a gift, or in your mindset, was that your gift for your dad on Father's Day? And Dad, what can he do to top that ever for moving forward?
Well, when I woke up this morning, that was the second part. Me and my brother, we got him some balloons and shirts that were in the car yesterday morning. But that was the main part of the gift. I was determined on making this team one way or another. So I knew if I went out there and ran the right way, I was gonna be able to make it. I was gonna be able to come out on the team, and that's what we did. And going forward, I'm not too sure how I'm gonna top it, but I'm gonna find something out by next year.
Yeah. Well, one, let me say I'm proud of this young man, regardless of what he's done on the track. And just a great young man. Makes me proud as a father, because he's just a great young man. But can he top that? Absolutely, absolutely not. Best Father's Day gift ever. Now, bringing that gold medal home, right, in Tokyo, that right there, that might that might give this one a little bit of a run, son. So let's try to get that gold medal.
Thank you, guys.
We'll take a couple of more here. Brian Hall, WFMY.
Yeah, this is for Junior and Stewart. I mean, I'm sure both of you guys have watched Team USA on the Olympics. I just want to know what's going to be going through your minds when you pull on that Team USA uniform for the first time.
Well, I would say on an Olympic stage, it will definitely be, actually, it might hit me because it hasn't hit me yet. But I will say that when we get to that part, it really might just solidify that, wow, I actually did something. But then I'm gonna go back to what I usually do, sit around, meditate a little bit and refocus on what I have to do and get it done.
Yeah, like Trevor was saying, actually having on the uniform and being a part of the whole program is just amazing. It's like a dream come true. But once all the excitement goes down, it's time to get back to work. We got the biggest race of our life coming up, and we got to prepare for it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, our last two questions of the day will go to Lauren, WXLI, and then we'll close out how we began with Eddie Wooten. Lauren.
Thanks, Brian. This one is for Trevor. So we've seen obviously what you've been able to accomplish at A&T, but I'm curious about your journey as a whole and how you would describe what you've been through, your challenges to get to this point and the highest peak in your sport.
Well, it's been a journey. It's been a long, long journey. And I'm glad to say that it's not done yet. I've learned so much and I've put my body physically through so much just to get to this part in my life. And I know that I have so much more left in me that it's gonna be a show. Like Coach Ross always says and always tells us, you run the way you're supposed to and run just how you've been doing, the world's gonna come to you. You don't have to chase anything. And for once, I actually see what he's talking about. Before I used to just hear it and understand it, take everything in and just, follow orders. Now I did the same thing and now the world's come to me. And it's definitely sweet.
Thank you.
Eddie.
Let me ask for Dwayne what their kind of schedule will be. You've talked some about recovery and kind of exactly what will that look like in terms of when these guys will get back on the track after so much racing. And for for Trevor and for Ross Jr., close out with how much sleep did you get last night and what did your phones look like after the races?
Yeah, so they have the entire next week, just to spend with family. I've told them, hey, listen, just go home, go hug on mom, go home, hug on dad, family, eat some good food, just get away from track, for about a week. Let your body just decompress, let your mind decompress. I think that's important. Recovery is extremely important within our program. So yeah, they're just going to take this week here to just get away, and then we're back at it, the following Monday and whatnot. So yeah, just rest at this point, take it all in, because when we get back on the track, there's no talking about this weekend here, right? Everything's moving forward. So they better take this week here to really enjoy it, talk about it all they want to, take pictures with family, because next Monday is back to the grind.
And for the second part of your question, I probably had about 6 hours because as soon as we got done, they took you to the drug testing station, station. And then that took almost an hour or two. And then once I got back, they gave me homework. I had to I had to fill out these forms, had to take pictures for like the organization, my passport and everything. So by the time I got done with that, it was almost 2 o'clock. And then my phone, it was just full of congratulations from friends and family from back home, some people I haven't even seen before. But it was also from a post from my Blackboard saying I have my final exam due today. So when we get done with this COVID test, I'm start on those.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Well, after we finished everything and I actually did check my phone, I had a good amount of messages because I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb when I'm at meets. And it was a lot of congratulatory stuff. Then I had about 13 calls. And I didn't sleep that well, honestly. If I got about 2 to 3 hours, then I just was up for the rest of the night, just trying to figure out why I can't sleep. And then I got 2 more calls this morning at like 6 o'clock our time. So it was about 9 over there. So it was just a lot, but I was up. I wasn't doing much and I couldn't go back to sleep until like around 7 o'clock this morning. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if my body was just telling me that, hey, you have stuff you got to do again, or I'm just so used to waking up at random times at this point, getting ready. Or it was just saying that, wow, yeah, no, you need a break, man. But either way, it worked. So I'm just ecstatic.
Well, thanks and congratulations, guys.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we're gonna let these guys get some rest. I want to really thank you guys for coming in and your coverage of North Carolina A&T athletics.